All right, welcome back to the All Sorts podcast for another deep dive
Yeah.
into all sorts of fascinating topics.
Yeah.
And today we've got something pretty cool lined up. You, our awesome listeners,
Right.
sent us a bunch of stuff about the Northrop F-5.
The Freedom Fighter. Yeah.
Exactly, the Freedom Fighter. And we're going to, we were pretty intrigued by it.
Yeah.
And
All the good stuff there.
so we want to kind of unpack it all. We got information straight from Northrop Grumman themselves.
Oh, wow.
The mothership?
Straight from the source.
Yeah. And of course, we've got, the ever reliable Wikipedia, which is always a good starting point. And Fly a Jet Fighter, which is a really cool website, by the way, if you haven't checked it out.
Yeah. It's great for practical info, like real world stuff.
Yeah. How to actually fly one of these things.
Well, not really how to fly it, but what it's like to fly it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely worth a look. And there's even a new book coming out from Creasy Publishing, all about the F-5 Tiger II.
That's the later version. Right.
Exactly, the upgraded version of the Freedom Fighter. But the book covers both.
Oh, cool.
So we'll dive into that a bit later, too. But our main mission today is to really understand this aircraft. Where did it come from?
Its origins.
Yeah, its origins, how it evolved, and why it still matters today.
Sounds good.
So to kick things off, I was really struck by how the F-5 actually came to be. It wasn't like a government contract or anything.
Right. It wasn't like a top-down requirement from the Air Force or something.
Yeah, exactly. This thing was, get this, privately funded.
Wow. By Northrop themselves.
Yeah, back in the late 1950s, they decided to just, go for it.
That's a pretty bold move,
Right. It was a gamble. They had this vision for a supersonic light fighter, and they basically built it around two small but really powerful General Electric J-85 engines.
Yeah, those J-85s were pretty revolutionary for their time. Small, compact, but they packed a punch.
Yeah, and the whole airframe was designed to be super aerodynamic.
Streamlined, lightweight, all about maximizing performance.
Exactly. So I gotta ask, what was Northrop thinking? Why take such a risk?
Well, they were smart, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They saw a gap in the market,
Okay.
At the time, you had these big, heavy fighters like the F-4 Phantom.
Right, those were beasts.
Huge, expensive, complex. Northrop figured there was a need for something smaller, more agile, and way cheaper.
Something more affordable, easier to maintain.
Exactly. They were thinking about countries that couldn't afford the Phantoms of the world, but still needed a modern Air Force.
Makes sense, especially during the Cold War. You had all these new nations emerging, looking for ways to defend themselves.
Right, and the F-5 fit the bill perfectly. You get supersonic capability without breaking the bank.
So it was a strategic move, really. And it paid off big time, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. The F-5 became a huge success on the export market.
That lower cost, the ease of maintenance, it was a game changer.
And it wasn't just cheap, it was a capable fighter, too.
Yeah, the sources we got say it was designed primarily for air superiority.
Taking down other planes.
Yep, but it could also handle ground attack missions.
Multi-role fighter. Very versatile.
So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, basically.
Absolutely. And speaking of bang for your buck, that brings us to the first production models. The F-5A and F-5B, the Freedom Fighters.
Right, the ones that really put this thing on the map.
These entered service in the early 60s, and they just flew off the production line.
Over 800 built through 1972, mostly for U.S. allies.
Yeah, it was a key part of U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War, arming friendly nations.
And it's interesting, the U.S. Air Force didn't use the F-5A much for combat.
Not in large numbers, no.
But they did buy a ton of T-38 Talons.
The trainer, based on the F-5's design.
Exactly. It's like they saw the potential of the platform.
Right. Recognized its solid design and performance.
And they used it to train generations of pilots.
Which is a pretty important role in itself, right?
Absolutely. But, of course, technology marches on.
And tactics change.
So the F-5 needed an upgrade, right?
Enter the F-5E Tiger II.
In 1972, along with the two-seater F-5F.
The Tiger II was a big step forward.
More powerful engines, more fuel, bigger wings.
And those cool leading-edge extensions.
The LEX, yeah.
Those made a big difference in maneuverability.
So for our listeners who aren't, aerospace engineers.
Right.
What do those LEX things actually do?
Well, there are these little surfaces on the front of the wings.
Okay.
And they basically help the plane turn tighter without stalling.
How do they do that?
It's all about aerodynamics, creating these little vortexes of air over the wings.
Wow, so it's like giving the plane more lift at high angles of attack?
Exactly. So the Tiger II could really dance in a dogfight.
outmaneuver the opponent.
Yeah, he was a lot more agile.
And it could refuel in midair, right?
Optionally, yes.
Yeah.
Extended its range considerably.
So now you've got a fighter that can go further and fight better.
And it had upgraded avionics, too.
Better radar and stuff.
Yeah, so it could see and engage targets beyond visual range.
So it was a more well-rounded fighter, capable in multiple roles.
And it continued to be popular with U.S. allies.
But it's interesting, the Tiger II is still flying today, isn't it?
In a way, yes. The U.S. Navy and Marine Corps still use them.
Not for combat, though, right?
No, not frontline combat. They're used as aggressor aircraft.
Oh, right, like in training exercises?
Yeah, they simulate enemy fighters.
So they're like the sparring partners for the newer jets.
Exactly. Helps the pilots train against a realistic opponent.
And it shows how good the F-5's design really was.
Still relevant all these years later.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. From frontline fighter to sparring partner.
And it could still do ground attack missions too, if needed.
Multi-role to the end.
And let's not forget the production numbers. They built over 1,400 Tiger II.
That's a lot of planes.
Demand was strong, right up until 1987.
And there was that reconnaissance version, the RF-5 Tiger Eye.
Yeah, proving the F-5 could adapt to different roles.
So versatile. I know some of our listeners are big into modeling.
Oh yeah, there's a huge community of modelers out there.
Yeah. And we got some info about this new book from Crazy Publishing.
The one about the F-5 Tiger II, right?
Yep, it's coming out in December 2024.
Sounds like a must-have for F-5 fans.
Definitely. It's got historical details, walk-around photos, color profile.
Everything a modeler needs to build an accurate replica.
And it covers the Freedom Fighter, too, not just the Tiger II.
Oh, that's great.
So the ISBN is 978-1-800-359-741 if you want to look it up.
It's a paperback. 280 by 216 millimeters.
72 pages, packed with images, around 175 of them.
It sounds like a visual feast.
And speaking of visual, there are tons of model kits available for the F-5.
Oh yeah, in all sorts of scales.
You even sent us a link to a specific decal sheet.
For the F-5A flown by the South Vietnamese Air Force.
The VNAF, yeah. Shows you how popular this plane is with modelers.
And if you look at the Wikipedia page for the Northrop F-5,
yeah,
it's been translated into like a zillion languages.
No kidding.
Shows you how global its reach was.
Served all over the world.
A truly international aircraft.
So, to wrap things up, we've covered a lot of ground here.
From humble beginnings to global success.
The F-5, a privately funded project, turned into a mainstay of air forces worldwide.
And it kept evolving, with the Tiger IIA pushing the design even further.
More power, more range, more capabilities.
And still relevant today in its role as an aggressor trainer.
It's a testament to Northrop's vision and the F-5's solid design.
A true icon of military aviation.
So for you, our listeners, we've given you a glimpse into the world of the F-5.
Its history, its evolution, its impact.
But we want to leave you with a question. What do you think is the key to the F-5's enduring appeal?
Why has it stood the test of time?
Is it pure performance, or is there something more?
Something about its design, its versatility, its affordability.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. And just as the Northrop F-5 took to the skies with a blend of ingenuity and power, the All Sorts podcast aims to elevate your understanding with every deep dive we embark on.
So join us on this journey of exploration.
Subscribe to the All Sorts podcast on YouTube. Give us a like, share the knowledge.
And check out our vast collection of past episodes.
We've got a whole hanger full of fascinating topics waiting for you.
And don't forget to follow us on X, Instagram, and Threads.
Let the All Sorts podcast be your trusted co-pilot in the endless pursuit of knowledge.
Until next time, keep exploring.
And keep asking all the sorts of questions that matter.
Because curiosity is the fuel that drives us forward.
And as always, thanks for listening.